85% of SAP customers are still running the old system. The deadline is 18 months out. So either thousands of companies are sleepwalking off a cliff, or they've quietly figured out the cliff isn't really there. Okay, welcome in. This is Confessions of a Tech Optimist. I'm David, and the deal with this show is pretty simple. I tend to believe technology is moving us somewhere better, and then I sit down with someone who's going to tell me where I've got it wrong. Today, the topic is one that is quietly causing a lot of stress in a lot of boardrooms right now: the SAP 2027 deadline. The end of support for ECC, the old workhorse system half the corporate world still runs on. And my guest has actually lived inside these projects. Priya Sharma spent years as a program lead at SAP, then jumped the fence. She's now an independent ERP advisor, 30-plus migrations under her belt. And here's the part I love. She has, on purpose, told clients to not migrate by the deadline. Priya, welcome.
Thank you, David. And yes, I've talked more clients out of panicking than into it. So I suspect we're going to have some fun today.
I think we are. So let me plant my flag. I'm the optimist here, and to me this deadline is a good thing. ECC is decades old. The new platform, S/4HANA, is genuinely better, faster, real-time, AI built in. Deadlines force good decisions that companies keep putting off. December 31st, 2027 is the kick everyone needed. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not entirely wrong, but you're describing the marketing, not the mechanism. So let's be precise about what actually happens on January 1st, 2028. Nothing. The systems don't stop. The lights don't go off. What ends is mainstream maintenance. That's it.
Come on, that's a little...
No, it matters, David, because the word deadline makes a CEO picture a shutdown. The reality is you roll into extended maintenance. SAP offers it through 2030 for roughly an extra 2% on your fee. Or you go to a third-party support provider for up to 50% less than you're paying SAP now. So the cliff has two well-paved ramps off it.
Okay, but extended maintenance isn't free, and it isn't forever. 2% on a massive license base is real money, and it buys you, what, 3 years? You're renting time.
You are renting time, but renting time is sometimes the smartest financial decision a company makes. Think about who's still on ECC. It's not the simple shops. They've moved. It's the global manufacturers, the regulated banks, the companies with 20 years of custom code wired into how they actually operate. For them, rushing a migration to hit an arbitrary date is how you break payroll, or miss a compliance filing, or take down a shop floor.
But that's exactly my point, though. The longer they wait, the worse it gets. There's a consultant capacity problem coming. Nearly half of SAP customers say they want to be migrated by 2030. If everyone waits, they're all fighting over the same shrinking pool of experts in 2028, paying triple, waiting in line. The optimist move is go now while there's still room.
And there it is. That's the manufactured part. Migrate now or you won't find help. David, that scarcity narrative it's a sales engine. SAP and the big integrators benefit enormously from a stampede. A wall of demand compressed into a narrow window? That's not an accident of the calendar. That's a business model.
You really think the deadline itself is engineered?
I think a deadline can be real and a revenue event at the same time. Those aren't opposites. Look, SAP has reiterated over and over, 2027 is not moving. Fine, I believe them. But they also quietly introduced a private cloud transition option that stretches support to 2033 for the big complex customers. So the same company telling you the door slams in 2027 is holding a side door open to 2033 for a price.
Okay, that's a fair hit. That side door is real, and it does complicate the hard deadline story.
I appreciate you saying that.
But let me push back from the other direction. Security, compliance. After mainstream support ends, you stop getting the regular patches, the legal and regulatory updates at full pace. For a bank, for a healthcare company, that's not a rent more time problem. That's a sitting duck problem. Doesn't the risk clock force the issue regardless of the money?
It does. That's the argument I actually respect, and I won't pretend otherwise. For a heavily regulated business, running unsupported or even minimally supported software is a genuine liability. Auditors notice, regulators notice. So when a client is in financial services, I don't tell them to relax. I tell them to move with intent. The risk profile is real there.
So we agree on something. For the regulated, high-risk shops, the urgency is legitimate.
Completely. Where we split is everyone else. The mid-market manufacturer with a stable, boring, beautifully functioning ECC system and no compliance gun to their head, telling them it's 2027 or catastrophe, that's where panic gets sold as prudence.
And honestly, the data's a little on your side there. The migrations that are happening are running 30% longer than planned, and only a tiny fraction finish on schedule. So rush to hit the date is producing a lot of expensive, late, half-finished projects.
Yes, because the date became the goal instead of the outcome. A migration done well in 2029 beats a migration done badly in 2027, every single time.
So let me ask you the optimist's favorite question. If the deadline weren't there at all, no 2027, would these companies ever modernize?
Some of them, honestly, no. And that's where I'll concede something real to you. The deadline does break the inertia. ERP modernization is the definition of a thing everyone agrees is important and no one wants to start. Without a forcing function, a lot of these systems would just calcify forever. So the deadline as a conversation starter, valuable. The deadline as a panic button, manipulative. It's both tools in one.
That might be the most honest framing of this whole thing. All right, closing statements. Keep it tight. Priya, you first. Real urgency or manufactured panic?
Manufactured panic, sold on top of a real date. Here's my confession after 30 migrations. The deadline is a fact, but the fear around it is a product, packaged and sold. The companies that win aren't the ones who run scared to 2027. They're the ones who look at their actual risk, their actual custom code, their actual options, extended maintenance, third-party support, the private cloud bridge, and then choose their own timeline. Urgency should come from your business, not from someone else's sales quota.
And here's mine, as the optimist. I came in thinking the deadline was simply good discipline, and Priya's mostly convinced me the fear gets weaponized. I'll give her that. But I'm landing here. A forcing function that gets a decades-old system finally modernized is still, on balance, a gift. Yes, question the panic. Yes, know your ramps off the cliff. But don't use "it's manufactured" as one more excuse to do nothing for another 5 years. The date is leverage. Use it on yourself, before someone else uses it on you. Priya, this was exactly the kind of disagreement I hoped for. Thank you for not letting me get away with the easy version.
Never. Ask me again in 2028. We'll see how many of those panic companies are perfectly fine.
That's our episode. If you run SAP and your stress level went up just now, sorry, but also, maybe that's useful information. Subscribe to Confessions of a Tech Optimist on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify. Leave us a review and send this one to the person on your steering committee who keeps insisting there's plenty of time. They need to hear both of us. I'm David. Talk soon.